Okay, I actually have a live stream. Oh, Reptar. You sitting here waiting for Din Din? Oh, and it worked. Somebody actually came in. Hello. Say hello to Reptar. See how hungry he is. Do you want that? I guess you wanted that. Hey, Reptar. A little more. How about if we... Oh, it's raining lettuce. And mealworms. Oh, what a lovely buggy salad. Hope I don't have Chad on, or... I don't see the chat though. There. It's in red, so I'm not seeing it. Oh, Ben. Tristan. Hello. I deleted Streamlabs and re-downloaded it, and it didn't have the chat in. And I managed to do it. I tried to live feed from the little river by the house. And I couldn't connect. Yes, definitely an omnivore. It does need meat as a baby and a juvenile, but it can live entirely as a vegetarian once it's reached adulthood like this. And I'll probably get some comments that he's overfed, but that's an every other day feeding. So if he doesn't eat it all, he'll go and set up on his hammock until he warms up and digests some, and then come back and finish it later, or he may just gobble it all now. He's I have to look at my other lives from a year and a half, thereabouts. I think he was a spring birth, so I'm peeking at my thumbnails. Yeah, he was half this size when I got him a year ago. And his tail is about 3 times as thick. Now it does look like he's carrying his belly, but that's not his belly. It's when he stands up on the side of the cage, you can see his stomach as he's ripped. But they don't chew, they crush. No teeth. Oops, hand's starting to get a little twitchy. In captivity, they can get, quite a bit bigger than they do normally do in Australia, where they're native to. Yeah, he has, hasn't he been? Even his legs are thicker. But since he hasn't shed his skin in 4 months, 5 months, his body actually hasn't grown that much. But he has filled right out. Like the difference between a year-old deer and a 3-year-old deer. Not a lot in what it looks like, but there's a whole lot more meat there. I've been curious if he's going to get a mail-in ballot to vote, whether he's going to vote Democratic or Republican. If he sets just right and looks you right in the face, he kind of looks like, his face looks like a frog. But he's a bearded dragon. You can see his beard sticking out. Those little spines, they run all the way down his side. And they're pretty soft. They couldn't poke you, but they're irritating. Definitely don't have that spine like a fish when you grab them and you got a blood spot on your hand. They just bend. Yeah, he's my icon. One day when I fed him like this, he was a little bit aggressive and ended up with a piece of the lettuce on top of his head. He crawled up onto the hammock and went to sleep. After about an hour, I noticed, and I'm like, I'm going to grab a shot of that. So that's my icon or avatar or however it comes up. I get a few questions on what the hell is that? He did it himself. I didn't put a hat on my lizard. I know Ben will have a comment about that, but you're a dirty old man. I did upload the video I did take while I was at the river. Now I just have to deal with the sunburn I got for being out in the sun for 30 minutes. It's only my arms, so it shouldn't be too bad. If it gets down to like 55 in here tonight, though, it'll be chilly on those arms. I try to hold the phone. I'm used to holding it by the sides, and I keep putting my finger in front of it. So now I'm trying to hold it in the middle. It's a little different, but it's a little more stable. What are you deciding, Reptar? Are you full, or are you going to clean up the mess? Yeah, I got that hammock. It was the first thing I bought for him. At Amazon. He loves it. You can move it around and change it to more level, or at this point he'll climb right up to the top. His head will be right where the suction cup is, and he just hangs there. That's how he sleeps. And I've got some of his other meals back when he was eating goats and raccoons. There's a few skulls that he didn't eat. He just spits them out. They only got up to 61. I think we're at 70, but we've got a nice 10-mile-an-hour breeze with 15-mile-an-hour gusts coming off of Lake Michigan, so it's perfect outside. I actually had to put on a t-shirt with sleeves to go sit by the river. I got it down to 63 in here with the 2 windows open with 1 exhaust fan that I'm sure you can hear going. Keep the smoke out of the house because I smoke in the house. And I smoke outside too. No, those are goats. Raccoons. I think there's someone. Oh, there's one inside the. I get a shot of it. Underneath the log, there's a raccoon. He just walks across them like they ain't, like the nothing they are. 99. Ugh. I'm dying in my house when it gets above 79. I turn my air on and shut the windows because I don't do heat. I do cold. I love the cold. $60 in shorts and a t-shirt. I'm up for it. I'll take the heat, yeah. That shows sure, Ben. You get that heat, you get all them black flies up there and those deadly swarms, epidemic size. Used to raise goats. Yeah, I got these were actually donated to me by Roadhog Kennel that raises goats. I thought it would make a nice addition to the cage. I love skulls. And those goats are just demon looking with those horns. I mean, come on. Raccoon, what a pussy. That's your skull, raccoon. You're goats, man, look at them. Horns and everything. Yeah, Ben, I saw leaves start to change a lighter shade of green about 3 weeks ago here, and that was when it started to cool off. But it definitely has changed. We may get a few more 80, 90, maybe 90 degree days here, but not many. It's down where it's chilly at night, and the ground's cooling off. The lake did get pretty warm this year, and when you live along Lake Michigan, that's like your weather barometer. Oh, you got golden brown already? Oh man, isn't it a little early? Hey, Freedom to Film, thanks for coming in. I thought the fall tour was usually like 2 weeks away for up north. Ah, okay, lack of water. Yeah, you guys. We live in a sandbox here, so let it rain. Will rain once all summer. Yeah, that's not good. Here in Michigan, water really isn't I mean, you can't spit without hitting water around here. My daughter lives 2 miles away. I have to cross the river twice to get there. Be a bit early. Well, if I were younger and about, I would be very concerned because the salmon run is coming up. And the river and fish spawning in the river is a temperature thing. That water temperature, the water is everything. 1 or 2 degrees and they will not stay on the beds and spawn. They'll stay in the holes and mill around. Guess we decided we're done. Emojis are really clear on here, but they're so small. Let gravity take effect. All that crushed veggies and worm juice. Actually, they're freeze dried, so there's no juice in them. That's why I try to give them both at the same time. I'll bet it was pretty bad been at night. I had some gusts last night, in the middle of the night, 1 or 2 a.m. They had to be 40, 45 mile an hour gusts. And yeah, Superior gets some waves in it. Thanks, yeah. Pretty much is chill. He was handled a lot by little kids when they first got him before my grandkids said, "Grandpa, you need a pet." I think it was, "We're tired of cleaning his cage and feeding him and taking care of him. We got things to do, video games to play." And he was pretty thin. You can go back to some of the back videos I've done, and he's double the size he was. His tail is probably 3 times thicker than it was. He buffed right out. Yeah, 20-foot waves are nothing, Tristan. I've seen them higher. I lived right on the shore of Lake Michigan. Outside of Arcadia, there's, if you look on the map, it'll show you Lookout Hill on M22. I lived at the bottom of that hill. All the beach in front of the Lookout Hill for about 2 miles was my private beach. Not bad for a $300 a month apartment. 38 foot. Excuse me. We used to run a 17-foot wooden boat out of Betsy Bay in Frankfort, Michigan, up to Point Betsy, and troll for salmon and trout or fall and spring. And you would leave at dawn from the dock, and you may be coming back an hour after daylight, and it would be calm all the way there. You go flying out there, and then the sun comes up, the wind comes up, you're in 3-foot rollers, and the wind comes up, gets a little warmer, you're in 6-foot rollers. And we've watched the skyline where it's black, like right along the edge of the water, and you turn and head for that shot back to the bay. And we've had to just turn for shore and just beach the boat. The waves are that quick. You don't have a half an hour to get out of the way. And the biggest waves I was in that I found hilarious was when we went to October. We went out on the island, Mackinac Island, and it was a 2-tier boat that you could set up on the top and watch go across, pretty good size. And then they also had smaller speedboats that you could go over in. Well, we went over, it was fine. On the way back, there were 18-foot rollers. And that meant that you could look out the windows from inside, and both sides, all you could see was water. But there was no sky. There was 40 people in that place that were panicked. And my wife at the time needed Dramamine to ride in the car, and she had forgotten her Dramamine in the glove box of the car. So that trip was interesting. She was freaked. I believe that's it, Ben. Oh, here's funny. We used to fish on the piers. My grandpa would take me out before daybreak, and we would fish until just about daylight, and then we would leave, and that's when normally everybody came out. And when the fish were running along the piers, you could throw Cleos or whatever it was back then, and we fished just before daylight with spawn sacks, and we'd catch 5, 6 fish in an hour and then leave. And sometimes on the way back in, you had to run up and down the pier to avoid the waves coming over, or they were going to wash you to the inside. The inside was always calm as hell, brown water. There were rocks, big, huge rocks, 6, 8, 10, 12 feet square that you could stand on. And the rocks were usually underwater on the other side, on the outside, where it was blue water, clear, clean. You got the river coming out one side, and the other side is Lake Michigan, and it's night and day. I've got a lot of videos from where you can see Frankfort and Betsy Bay. Alberta Harbor, I believe they call it, because on one side of the bay is Alberta, the other side is Frankfort, and Alberta was where they docked the big train barges, big ferries that went from here across to Wisconsin, which is about a 90-mile trip. And then they'd load up a whole thing of train cars and drive them over, so the bay was Alberta Bay. But Alberta's like 3 buildings and a bunch of houses, and maybe 8 now. I mean, Frankfurt's actually got a downtown and a theater and hotels. But the bay's Alberta because of the money that came in through the... Yeah, they die. That wave is not forgiving. The human body is not built to withstand being smashed onto the bottom or up against rocks, or just drown from not being able to breathe. Actually, here our park, Grand Haven City Beach, has got one of the worst riptides there are. 6th most dangerous beach you can swim in. People drowned every year. They got the fines up to $500 if you're parasailing when the red flag's up. And that's when parasailing's fun, is when it's windy, and when it's windy, that riptide there is just crazy. You got the water coming up from below and down from above, and it hits on this little tiny tit of a piece of land that is Grand Haven. It not only sends the water both directions, or comes from both, the weather goes both directions away from us. We have milder summer, milder winter than 20 miles north or south of us, where there's another towns. It's crazy. Land juts out maybe a mile more than around it, which is all curved, and that creates such a difference in the climate. That's sad, Ben. That can not only ruin people's vacation place, but ruin their lives. He is not the pet to get if you want to watch something moving around. Get fish that have to swim all the time. Though every once in a while I get up and crawls around at night in the dark for some reason and crawl over one of those skulls and make a bunch of noise. They split right around you, and that's what it's here. And you watch the thunderstorms over the past 6 years I've lived in this area, and they heading right for us, and they're on an angle, 45-degree angle north or 45-degree angle south. I don't get shit for thunderstorms. I miss the lightning. I get to hear it. But by that water moving in both directions, this area is steaming with fish. I mean, they have perch tours that go out with 100 people on a boat. You got the salmon all year long, 4 miles offshore. Charter boats even have pontoon boats that you take into the inland lake that's right by the fish for panfish or bass or walleye. My son and the grandsons, they go out. You can just drive for 5 minutes. There's another park by the river. Go throw your line in a couple times. They like that kind of fishing. I grew up fishing for food. Fighting for light. Yeah, I understand completely, Ben. My brother has some outdoor gardening that covered the whole area of corn and tomatoes. Just keep wrapping it around because they keep fighting for light. But thanks for stopping in. Oh, you knew who she was, local to town. That's rough. I mean, the water here takes lives. We don't float like you do in the ocean with salt water. But thanks for coming in, Ben. We could sit here for 2 hours and he might crawl up to the top, or he might come back and clean all this up, but not likely. Likely it's going to be what you see right here, and both of my hands have gone way beyond numb to try and hold this still. I can't wait to get my computer back where I can just set the camera up and go live without using Streamlabs. There's so much more I can do. One of those problems that you just shake your head and smile about. Right, Ben? But thanks for coming in too, Tristan. I haven't done enough live feeds to keep even any kind of audience, so even 2 is about average lately. And I'll be floating around looking for other chats today and tonight. Oh, well, you can see the sun just shining in. You all have a great day. Give it a shot. 2 out of the 3. I don't know about safe. But thanks for the recommendation, Ben. Well, that's not it. There it is.